He's still standing, right? So everybody else is taking cover, and he rings the towel, fires a single shot. This guy in the
Smokes him.
like 120 yards, 120 yards from the standing. And he looks down at me and he's like, "Hey, sir, we're under fire." And I was like, "Yeah, I got that." It's like, make me look like such a bitch. Like I'm doing what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I'm not, Captain America and the Avengers. I can just stand here shooting people, under fire, under machine gun fire, all calm and collected. Take 3 seconds to take a shot, hit a guy in the face. That's not me. I know my limitations.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Mountain Tough podcast. I'm Dustin Defender, founder and CEO of Mountain Tough, and we are so stoked that you're back listening to these episodes week after week. It is our goal to bring you inspiring and encouraging and impactful guests every episode to help you transform your life, change your life, encourage you so you can live that abundant life that Mountain Tough is all about. If you are new or if you haven't done so already, it does mean a ton to us if you could leave a review or a ranking on the App Store of your choice. Those reviews and rankings help get these episodes out in front of more people, and we love seeing those come through. So if you like this episode, please take a second and leave us a review on the App Store of your choice. Diving into current events at Mountain Tough, we are humming right now. There is a ton going on as we get ready for the new year. One of the coolest things going on is the What's Your Mountain campaign. The What's Your Mountain is a video campaign where we are accepting videos from our community, and we're looking for content around how you're using Mountain Tough to tackle different mountains in your life. So a ton of folks use Mountain Tough to train for the backcountry. They're using Mountain Tough to train for backcountry hunts, but a lot of folks are using it to tackle different mountains in their life as well, such as anxiety, depression, work and family balance. A lot of different mountains come up, and we know physical and mental fitness can help tackle those mountains. So if you send us your video content, we are reviewing that content, sharing that content, and we are going to pull a winner from those videos using hashtag What's Your MTN. And the winner gets an all expense paid trip out to the Bozeman Lab for Tough Fest 2024. So that is an awesome thing going on right now. We can't wait to see who's going to win that and get them out to Tough Fest here with the Mountain Tough team in Bozeman. Also, we're getting ready for the new year. The new year's coming up fast. And every January, Mountain Tough always releases some new flagship programs. So we've been working on a lot of new flagship programs for 2024, and those are going to come out just in a couple days after this episode launches. So late December, right around Christmas, you're going to see the teaser for our new programs for 2024. So we've been working on these for years, sometimes multiple years, but what you're going to see launched now is going to be a brand new kettlebell program we're calling kettlebell diesel. So diesel is a strength and speed program using a kettlebell. So you're going to pack on a ton of strength on that program, but that program is also going to make you a better and faster runner. So you're getting strength and speed at the same time. So it's the ultimate hybrid athlete functional fitness program only using a kettlebell. So it's minimal gear. You can do this one at home. You can do this one anywhere. It's a 4-week program, so keep your eye out for diesel. If you did kettlebell 20, that was one of our most popular programs ever. This is the next level. So this is a level up. So if you're a big fan of kettlebell 20, you're definitely going to want to go through diesel. We also are launching a brand new nutrition program to get your nutrition dialed in with Kyle Camp. So keep your eye out for the nutrition content. There's some phenomenal content in there, so you make sure that you have your diet dialed in addition to your fitness and your mental health. Also, we're going to have a new strength block. The strength block is hardcore, old school strength. So you're going to pack on a ton of strength on this program. So if you're used to doing postseason strength, think about switching to mountain strength. You're going to see that launch here in a couple days. It was written and filmed by Donnie Bigham. Donnie is a world record holder and professional power lifter. So it is a perfect program to mix into your other style of mountain tough training because it's only 4 days a week. So you can pack on a ton of strength, take your strength to a whole new level, but you can still get those cardio days twice a week. So if you're a runner, a biker, or you drop in those mountain tough high intensity workouts on those 2 days, this will be a perfect program for you. Lastly, we're dropping the Mountain. The Mountain is one of the hardest minimal gear programs we've ever put together. We tested it on the daily athletes and MGDs, and now we're opening it up to the public. The Mountain is hardcore, so it's an elite level minimal gear program. No running in that one, so you don't need a treadmill. You can literally do the Mountain anywhere in a 10 by 10 room. You just need some dumbbells, a kettlebell, a cooler, and a pull-up bar. That one is phenomenal. That one's also 4 weeks. So lots of new programs are hitting the shelves here in about 4 days. Don't miss those teasers, and don't miss the sale that we'll have on the annual subscription to get you into those programs for January. Lastly, we do have 1 day left on the Mountain Ops Hydrate Mountain Tough limited edition exclusive flavor. So Mountain Ops worked with us and we built a limited edition lemon lime flavor. It's the Mountain Tough lemon lime in their Hydrate product. So their Hydrate product is all about hydration. It's not a pre-workout. It's not a post-workout. It is your electrolytes to handle anything that's life's going to throw at you. They worked with us. They created Mountain Tough Lemon Lime. The flavor is phenomenal. And when they did that launch, they launched it with an Audad Hunt giveaway. There's going to be 2 winners for that hunt, one from the Mountain Tough office, one from the Mountain Ops office. So 4 people are going on that hunt. 2 winners are going to go with 2 staff people, one from each company. 1 day left to get entered into that. Do not miss out on that. All you have to do to get extra entries is to buy a product on Mountain Ops website, or you need to be a current Mountain Tough subscriber. So if you don't have your free trial going right now, I would do that because this is the final day to be entered in a chance to go Audad hunting with someone from Mountain Tough and Mountain Ops. Now, shifting gears into today's episode. Today's episode is insane. This is a story you're gonna not want to miss. Our guest today is Byron Owen. Byron is a former Force Recon platoon commander from the Marine Corps. He has progressed in his career now, so he's in a different position now, but he walks us through his whole career and the mental toughness it took to get him through some difficult times, multiple injuries. He's been shot multiple times, but we spend a lot of time today on the Battle of Shewan. This was an insane story. The stuff they went through, the mental toughness they went through, the mindset of some of the young guys on his team this day is some of the most inspiring content I've ever heard. Some of the young Marines that did what they did. This is a story that is going to inspire everyone. This is a story you're going to want to share with your buddies. It is definitely one you're not going to want to miss. So stand by for my conversation with Byron Owen. So you're at the War College now, correct?
So presently I'm a student at the National War College. It's kind of weird being a student at 43, but it's a good time learning strategy, delving into diplomacy, economic stuff that we don't normally get exposed to in the beginning of our careers. We start to transition from being kind of at the tactical level of war to working with the interagency, different aspects of government. It's been a good time.
And where's that college located
So
at?
I live in Maryland, but I commute down to DC to Fort McNair, National Defense University.
Okay. And how many years have you been active now?
Boy, I'm at 21 years, man.
Wow.
It goes by fast.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, just like so I'm right down the street from the Naval Academy where I started. And I just look at these kids and I was like, man, that was me like yesterday, and maybe a year ago. And it's just gone by quick.
Well, let's shift gears back to where it it did kind of start. I know you've had a wild career and you've been through a lot of wild experiences, but where did you grow up at?
So born and raised in San Diego, California. My dad, he was a Green Beret, and he's actually a musician, he's a professional guitarist. So he would take fault that I introduced him as a former Green Beret because he spent a couple years in the Army during Vietnam as a Green Beret, and then the rest of his career as a musician. He's a fantastic musician, playing guitar.
Wild.
And he's like, hey, we could go into music together. And that was his dream growing up. And I was more into the, special operations, Green Beret part of his life. So I didn't want to be my dad. And, the big Marine Corps Navy town in San Diego, I wanted to enlist, join up right away. But my mom said that, enlisted people don't make a lot of money, at least from her perspective, which is not entirely inaccurate. And so she said, hey, I'm not signing your delayed entry paperwork so that you can enlist under 18 before you show me a rejection slip to the Naval Academy. I told her, I'll get you a rejection slip from the Naval Academy. I'll get you one from Harvard. I'll get you a rejection slip from tell me the school. And I'll give it to you. And I didn't get in. And so I went to MEPS, is where they process you for enlistment. And it turns out I got picked up for the prep school. And I was like, nah, man, I'm good. I'll go enlist. And then the sergeant there, he's like, you're not familiar with the military, are you? You're going to go where the hell I tell you to go. So, facts. And so I went to the prep school in Rhode Island, did a year there, 4 years at the Naval Academy, and commissioned into the Marine Corps in 2003. Can you believe that? 20 years ago.
Wild. And so you went in, you came out of the Naval Academy at a pretty hot time. A few years later is when really kind of things got wild in the Middle East.
That's right. I mean, so it's crazy because I remember distinctly as a student at the academy, junior year, September 2001, they pulled us out of class because the planes hit the Twin Towers, and I thought to myself, I was like, oh my God, there's a war. I'm gonna miss it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a terrible thing to think about now. But as a young man, I'm like, this is my career path. I want to do this stuff, support my nation, and then there's a war, and I'm not going to get called to serve. It's kind of, young men thoughts. But then, as it turns out, the war in Afghanistan and Iraq kept going, and I was able to spend some time in both theaters. But that was very much on our minds. One of my classmates at IOC, infantry officers course, so I became an infantry officer. I remember he's from California as well. I think he's from Pasadena. And I remember saying, hey, man, we'll catch you after this deployment. We'll have a barbecue at my house. And then he died. He was dead 2 months later, man. First, J.P. Blacksmith, second lieutenant. He's the first Marine officer to die in the Battle of Fallujah. And so when your class is very real. I mean, your classmates at especially the infantry officers course, Naval Academy. I mean, he's my classmate at the academy as well. It was a very very serious time. I mean, you knew what you're getting into. And at that period, I did 4 back-to-back combat deployments. I mean, it was just 6 months on, or 7 and 6 off. It's just a meat grinder.
So busy, right, when you came out.
Yeah, it was a very different time. I kept going back. I mean, I volunteered for whatever reason. Marines muscles required, intelligence not essential. That's what they say. That's what they tell me. And then I don't know. Kind of a hard thing to explain, I guess. But there's a call. It's just hard to be back when all your friends are over there.
Yeah.
They're fighting it out, and they're dying, and so there's a fraternal longing, to go in and to be in those conditions with them. It's really difficult to explain. I'm sure some psychologists could describe it.
Yeah. You want to be with your brothers.
Yeah, you feel like you're not doing your part. No matter how much you've done, you feel like someone that you owe it to them to see it through until it's done. Didn't know it'd be 20 years until it was done, but nevertheless.
So what was your rank when you were over there for those 4 deployments in a row?
Yeah, so started off, I was a rifle platoon commander, second lieutenant, did a tour to Iraq, did another deployment. It's called CAT, not the construction company. It's a combined anti-armored team. It's a platoon of essentially armored Humvees, and you have missiles, rockets, and machine guns on top. And so the idea being, if the infantry, we call straight leg, because they're walking around, they get into a little bit of a situation. They call you. You roll in. You have the 50 caliber machine gun's a very large machine gun, very very heavy round. Puts a lot of damage on whatever you're aiming at. And then Mark 19 is an automatic machine gun. It's kind of like if we asked a 5-year-old boy to design a weapon, and he's like, "Well, I like grenades. I love machine guns, and so and our powers combine. Here's Captain Planet, but it's spitting out 40 Mike's explosives at rapid fire.
Insane.
I'm not making this up. This is a real weapon, and tow missiles and a whole bunch. And so you could really help a lot of folks out in a bad situation. So I was in Baghdad during the surge during that deployment. I got wounded twice. Medevaced out of theater. And then I had the opportunity to, go to the School of Infantry, do what we call B billet. So your A billet being your deploying, action arm kind of the tour duties. And then I ended up volunteering to go to Force Recon. And so we had an organization, first Force Recon company. So first is usually West Coast, second, East Coast, third is overseas, Okinawa. So I had screened before I got wounded. And so I'd done there's all these events you have to do, and I passed. And so I went through all my physical therapy, all my medical recovery. And they said, "Hey, you still want to come over, man?" And I was actually on a med board for retirement. And so I had the opportunity to, get 50% of my pay, medical for life, get the, the gold satin jacket.
Yep.
Go to the VFW, Veteran Foreign Wars, and have some free beers. And I said I would rather not get that money and instead go back to I went to Afghanistan.
Okay.
Kind of a boneheaded decision. And so they're like, "Well, if you're going to Afghanistan, you're obviously cleared."
Yeah.
And so I was a captain at the time, still a platoon commander. So platoon's like 30 people. So for an officer, that's usually your smallest formation that you command. Usually anything below that's enlisted. So squad of 12 is like a sergeant or corporal. Team is a lance corporal, and that's like 3 or 4 people. And the way it normally worked at Recon or Force Recon, which is kind of the precursor of Marine Special Operations. I mean, it was the precursor of Marine Special Operations.
Yep.
They wanted you to get experience, prove yourself in kind of a similar platoon, and say, "Hey, you led 30 people, and now you're going to do it again. But you're a little bit older, more experienced. You have more experienced people who kind of more more demanding of like leadership, expectations, standards, all that stuff.
Yep.
Obviously, higher physical standards, and there's a really extensive pipeline that you have to pass through in order to get into that organization, called the Basic Recon Course. We don't have fancy names like the other services.
And this was like 2008.
They're just dropping people like flies. They'll just keep putting pressure until people quit. And what you're trying to produce is a dynamic thinker who's never going to quit. And so, when you have your back to the wall and you're not going to quit, you're going to start looking for, hey, what do I have available? How can I solve whatever the problem is in front of me? And then literally not give up until you're dead. And if you're dead, you don't know it. So you just keep doing something. And so it's kind of a unique, unique within the Marine Corps, special operations. I think they kind of breed this kind of individual, but kind of that creative problem solver, that's infused with toughness and a lot of grit, and very, very successful, not only in the military, I think in life in general.
For sure.
This kind of institution breeds that into you.
And
probably not the right word, but.
And this was around 2008, 2007?
So this was 2006, 7.
Okay.
So I was just going through the pipeline. And so, it's 8-9 months, maybe longer pipeline. So normally they like to at least get you through, but you have to go through the basic recon course. There's a prep course that's equally challenging. There is a study. I don't know if we talked about this before. I really wish I remember who did the study, because I could cite them like a professional student that I am. Don't tell my professors. But they went to survival school, which we call SEER, and they did a cortisol test of the students. And so they test the cortisol of a crew chief through the roof. I mean, they're beating on you. They're doing all sorts of nonsense. I mean, it's a pretty intense course, right?
Yep.
Then they went to an Army Ranger, and they did a cortisol test. It was still elevated. I mean, it's not like a walk in the park for this guy, but he wasn't as bad as the crew chief. So then, the Question is the Ranger just tougher, or is there something else at play? And so then they're like, well, let's find a young kid going to Ranger school. So they tested some guys going to Ranger school, of course, all levels, through the roof. Then they take that same individual and they go to SEER school and they're like, hey, I think I'm onto something. I think that you can inoculate somebody against stress, against PTSD by exposing them over and over to different stressors, whether it's jumping out of an airplane, whether it's SEER school. And then you're like, I wasn't that bad. I survived that. Hey, like I'm afraid of heights, it's a weird thing for a guy who jumps out of airplanes. But so you jump off the 10-meter tower at the dive tank. Right? When you go into basic entry-level training, you're like, hey, wow, I did that. That was a thing that I was terrified of, and I did it. So what's the next challenge, right? Is it jumping out of an airplane? Man, I really don't want to do that. Or maybe it's a high rope training. I'm going to rappel. I'm going to fast rope.
That's fascinating.
Hey, I did it. I survived.
Yeah, you're just conquering those fears.
And I think that's what the military tries to do, particularly with some of these special operations programs. Hey, I'm handling explosives. Whatever it is. And so it just takes time to do that. And so you look at a lot of these pipelines, 6 months to 2 years long, to generate the kind of human product that they want to send on the battlefield, be successful. These are small teams.
And what was your mindset going into that pipeline? Were you going in feeling confident? Were you struggling? Was it tough for you? How'd you get through?
So I think I went in for all the wrong reasons, right? Because so you're attracted to this because you don't know it's cool. I don't know if you got the, I don't know if you can see that.
Yep.
That's you get badges, right? And so you get the dive badge and then the jump wings. That's cool looking. Recon Marines wear black PT gear. They're
Also
supposed to be,
cool.
The only Marines who get to have black on black PT gear. MARSOC does the same thing now. That's cool, right? The rest of the Marines wear green. I get to wear black. I'm cool. And so I think, as a young man, that's what I'm looking at when I'm at the Naval Academy. Everyone wants to be special.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be cool. But I'll tell you that's not going to get you through. So that's going to get you to the door, but you got to find another reason to be there. And I think that there's a lot of self-discovery. I think there was an aspect of, hey, I'm not going to quit. And that's everybody. They're like, this is going to be a walk through the park. And then you get in it. And then you start to see what you're really about. And so for me, that was the most valuable part of the experience, was proving something to myself that I didn't even know that I needed to prove, and less to the institution, and certainly to your teammates. I mean, that's a big aspect. You got to make sure that you're not going to let them down. And that was a very powerful driver. You want to slow them up, because if you're not going to, if you can't carry that weight inside your ruck, it's going to somebody else's. Yeah, it's going to make you feel like trash. Was it trash? It's just quit. Just leave. Drop your dead weight if you're not going to carry the load for everybody else. And there's going to be a time where you're going to be called upon, because we all get weak at some point. Yeah. Everyone has their bad day. Maybe you sprained something or you had a cramp and like, hey, let me take some weight off your back. But it's like a one-way street. We're going to rely on each other. And you form these tight friendships. It's very hard to describe these bonds with these individuals. I mean, I went through a basic recon course. A lot of the Marines ended up in my platoon. Wow. And you're all equally trash.
Yeah.
You're equally nobody. Just because you're an officer, you're a sergeant, nobody cares.
What was the hardest moment for you in the pipeline?
Gosh. So I actually sprained I actually had a avulsion fracture in my ankle third of the way in. So it was all the finning. And so we do a lot of aquatic events. It's amphibious reconnaissance. And so you have to do swimming. So we're down at Coronado at the Naval Special Warfare Facility. And the finning with just all the stress on my ankle with that avulsion fracture. I mean, I was like fighting back tears.
Brutal.
But yeah, it's the last phase of the training. And so as an officer, there's no guarantee you get rolled back. You get to continue. A lot of officers are like, hey, man, you don't have the time. You got to go. Hey, appreciate you being here. This isn't for you. Mm-hmm. And so I would just wrap it every morning. I was like, man, I just hope I get to tonight. And that was difficult.
I bet.
That was real tough.
Yeah, that sounds brutal.
But not good for your body long term. So, 20 years later, however many, 14, I was like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Right? Better ankle mobility. Or less. I don't have more or less than I should. Right? It's not the right amount.
Paying for it now.
Yeah, paying for it in a lot of things, as is with life. But it was a good experience. I'm really glad I had the opportunity to go.
So you get out and you hit the ground running in Afghanistan?
Yeah, so that's what's funny. And so when I left BRC, I had one of the last two Force Recon platoons in the Marine Corps. And so this was right at the time of the MARSOC transition. And so what I mean by that, and I'm sorry, I kind of skipped ahead. The Marine Corps, actually the Secretary of Defense said, hey, Marine Corps, you're going into SOCOM and you're going to establish 3 battalions eventually, at the time 2, of Marine Special Operators. And you're essentially going to convert your force recon companies into these special operations battalions. And so we sacrificed force recon in order to build MARSOC. And we had 2 platoons that were kind of in the wind, right? And so mine was on float. I was at BRC. And then General Mattis, I remember everyone knows Mattis.
Yeah.
He did not agree with the plan. And so he kind of did a shell game with these 2 platoons from First Force, and he stashed us over a First Recon Battalion. And he stood up like the Deep Recon Company, I think Delta Company is what they called it. And so we were not on a rotation to Iraq or Afghanistan. So it's kind of weird. You got these, highly trained Marines who are just itching to go back to, to war.
Yep.
They're just kind of homeless, kind of missionless. And so it was just, and it's kind of demoralizing. I mean, so they were professionals.
Yeah.
So, we continue to train. But it's easier when you got a goal in sight. Like I'm going to go do this thing, whether it's I'm going to go on the ship, I'm going to go to this exercise. I mean, it was cool. We went to Norway. We were hiking around in sub 40-degree temperatures for a while, doing some exercise with the Norwegian SOF.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to go to Malaysia. It was a what we call JSET training you do with the the host nation special operations forces. And I'll never forget this. It was like 1 a.m, and I get a call, and this I'm groggy. I'm like, hey, who's this? And like, hey, it's Colonel Smith from the MEF. The MEF is a 3-star command, so I'm here. I'm below the screen. You can't even see me, little captain. This guy is a colonel who works for the general, who's again off the screen, but above it. So he's the highest ranking general on the West Coast.
Wild.
And he says, hey, Byron, they just activated the ACF, which is the Air Contingency Force. It's kind of like the 911, break glass. No one ever does it. You're deploying to Afghanistan on Friday. This is a Monday.
Jeez.
And so this sound unprofessional. I was like, man, quit fucking around. Sorry, am I allowed to curse? I shouldn't curse. You can take care of that and post it. I was like, I thought it was my buddy. I thought it was the other platoon commander. I was like, hey, Ian, it's 1 a.m, man. Quit messing around. And this guy's like, are you drunk? Hey, this is Colonel Smith. This is the Chief of Staff of IMF. You better get your ass into gear. Be ready to report to the CGF at 05. And I was like, oh no, that was a mistake. Yes, sir. I'm like at attention at home.
That's
makes sense.
That's
like,
insane.
I thought you were my buddy. I'm not drunk. I'm dead sober. I was just asleep. Right. And
1 a.m.
5 a.m, there I am with the CG, and he's like, we just lost 7 Marines in the last 96 hours. 7 Marines, 1 battalion in Afghanistan. He's like, I got planes coming on Wednesday. This is the next day. I check in Tuesday, this meeting. He's like, tomorrow, quad cons are going to get loaded out. They're going to go on planes, and they're going to go to Afghanistan. Friday, you're going to Afghanistan. And he's like, you're going to make them pay for what they did to my boys. And I was like, hey, roger that, sir. And then I'll never forget this. Nothing to do with toughness, but I thought it was cool. He's just like, I want to have breakfast with these Marines before they go to war, because I know what I'm sending them into.
That's awesome.
The S4, as the guy handles logistics. He's just like, yeah, sure. Yeah, we can go to the chow hall, which is like the dining facility for us. Calling it a dining facility is churching up what it is. And he's like, no, we're going to do it here in this room where they brief me, where warriors meet. And the S4 is just like, yeah, I don't know if we could do that, sir. He looks at him, just like, you better goddamn find a way to do it, Bob, or I'll find someone who can. And I was like, holy shit, this guy's serious.
That's badass.
And he's like, Blonder, my platoon sergeant, he's just like, what do you like for breakfast? He's like, steak and eggs, sir. And the guy's like, steak and eggs, Bob. Steak and eggs. And so I don't know if this guy went to the whole country buffet or what, or, you had steak and eggs the next day.
That is legendary.
Like the dining facility, yeah.
Legend.
I was like, screw that guy, man. Like, I'm a captain. You don't say no to that guy. You're a colonel. Like,
yeah.
Not paying attention.
Legendary.
Yeah, gain some perspective.
So did you get steak and eggs?
Yeah, we still got our steak and eggs. Yeah, I don't think they came from the chow hall, but probably out of Bob's kitchen. Wife's cooking away.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So Friday we're on planes, and then Saturday we do it's called RSONI. It doesn't matter, but it's where you kind of process, get your ammunition, you get your loadout.
Yep.
And a couple days after that, we're in gunfights. I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
Right away.
Just right away. terrible conditions. So this battalion is just spread across Afghanistan. And so everywhere, maybe like 2 years later, or we'd have a full battalion, which is, 800 Marines, maybe 1,000. He had like 30 dudes. And so when I say 30, you really have about 15 to 20 because you got to sleep, you got to stay on guard duty. And so these poor kids are going out one squad at a time and just going up against horrific conditions, heavily outnumbered. And doing a great job.
Yeah.
I had a buddy of mine in Gulistan told me he had to take the machine guns, that's taking the machine gun down, off of his Humvees because they couldn't depress them because the Taliban were getting so close to their vehicles. So they had to take them off so they could get the shots off.
Wow.
They're so close.
And
so when you have reports of like grenades, run out of grenades, you're like, this is like Vietnam, man. Just terrible.
Just hot and heavy.
Yeah.
Were you in the mountains? Were you going up into the mountains each day?
So yes and no. And so Afghanistan is very geographically diverse, and so the northern part of Helmand is mountainous, and so you get towards the south, just flat desert. We call it like moon dust. It's really fine, like particle dust that just kind of gets in everywhere. And then you get towards the rivers, it gets very green, and so you even have trees. It's just kind of wild for me. The idea was that we would go to what they call high value individuals, HVIs, and the battalion commander would send us out to whatever area needed some extra attention, and then we would try to locate that person using whatever means necessary, and then take care of the problem.
And backing up for 1 second, at this point now, you've already been injured twice in combat and are past that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say pass it, but seasoned.
Yep. And then you're about to walk into a massive battle, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And so I was actually in our headquarters, and I forget what I was doing. Whatever. By checking in, hey, do you need anything from us? Before I think we're going to go to a rifle range, or maybe test fire weapons. Or Battlefield Zero, where you kind of adjust the aim of your weapons and you can tune the lasers so that they are or what they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to take too long telling the story, but we essentially heard a platoon in combat just having a hard time. And so they have these, we call them squawk boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a box, it's a speaker is what it is. And it kind of has a little squawk sound to it. And so, this Marine calls in and he's like, hey, this is Lance Corporal Smith. I wish I remember his name was. And he says, he's like, hey, we are under heavy attack. He's just like, I need immediate close air support. I need immediate medevac. We have casualties everywhere. And I need reinforcement. I need it now. And there's whatever reason, if they don't think it's a busy time, they always put the nuclear biological chemical officer in charge of like the command post. So of course, when there's emergencies happening, like all the important people are at the Green Beans Coffee. This is for it. And so they got to go get a runner to go find the boss at the Green Beans. And this poor kid, this young warrant officer is just like, hey, paint me a picture. Put your squad leader on the radio. And he's just like, I don't know where that guy's at. And he's like, where's your platoon commander? He's like, I don't know, man. It's like, where's your platoon sergeant? He's like, I think he's shot. And he's just like, who's the senior man on the battlefield right now? And this Lance Corporal's like, I don't know, man. For all I know, it's me.
It's
all I can tell
bad.
I'm the one on the radio talking to you. So now that we got that out of the way, close air support, medevac, reinforcement.
Dang.
And now battalion commander's back, and he's like, I can't do anything for you, kid. And it's just crushing.
Oh,
crushing.
Yeah.
Right here in my heart, man.
Oh.
And then I was so proud because I look back, and there's my entire platoon geared up, ready to go, doing pre-combat checks. Been like, hey, we're ready to roll, sir. And battalion commander looks at me, and he's like, I have no ability to fly you there. It's going to take you 8 hours to drive. And it just kind of hit me like the scope of this battlefield. I'm like, 8 hours.
8
full speed.
hours.
He's like, yeah, man. 8 hours. He's like, this is going to be done in 8 hours.
Jeez.
He's like, this is gonna be done in 2 hours. He's like, we are helpless here without air assets. He's like, I can't do anything. And this young kid's just like, I don't know if that's going to work, sir, but I'll do my best. And he hangs up, and that's it.
Dang.
Yeah. And
how many
he looks
guys
at
were
me,
pinned
like,
down?
Probably 20, 20 something, maybe 30. Yeah, just a incredible heroism. They had a kid, Brady Gustafson, deserves a Medal of Honor for what he did. I got the Navy Cross. Taliban, they sank 3 RPGs into a we call it tight bean zone. So like in the same area, that penetrated. We have called it MRAP. It's a large armored vehicle, and so the repeated blows from the RPGs created a hole in the side of the armor, so that the next one could come in, hits him in the leg, detonates, amputates his leg. I mean, he's obviously dying, and femoral bleeds. It bleeds very quickly. And you know what he does? He cranks because the turret rotates on a crank. Rotates his turret, and these Taliban are surging towards him, and he dumps 4 cans of 50 cal into this formation. Just
Holy
obliterates
smokes.
these guys. Yeah,
As his
I didn't
legs.
say he put a tourniquet on. I didn't say that.
Yeah.
He makes no attempt to save his own life. His only thought, young Lance Corporal, 19 years old, is that with my final action, I'm gonna take care of these dudes who are threatening the lives of my teammates.
Man.
And I know.
Amazing.
For that, he gets a Navy Cross. I thought I should have Medal of Honor. One of the it was actually a local national translator put a tourniquet on this kid's only reason he's alive.
Jeez.
That kid was ready to die, and so several heroic events like that. So that's why they made it, because the Marines, as they always do, went above and beyond to make sure they got the job done against all odds. But you could tell these Marines they use whatever help they could get, and so throwing 30 more Marines into that area that is making it work with about the same numbers going to have a significant effect on the battlefield. And so the boss is like, hey, man, you guys got to go to the Babalu district and help me sort out my Shewan problem. And that's what we did. Yeah, we drove up. We have some intel assets with us, some specialists that kind of devised a plan to go in there and kind of shake things up a little bit.
And so did you guys end up going for the drive? Because you still don't have air assets, so you just hopped in and drove out?
Yeah, so we just drove in. And so there's something called tactical patience. And so, hey, let's reset. We want to just roll in there and start, swinging the sword around, lopping off heads. But let's get a lay of the land, come up with a deliberate plan, and then go and execute that plan. We say, plan your dive your plan. We don't want to do this haphazardly. I mean, these dudes, if you can fire 3 different people who can fire at the same spot on a vehicle in succession, that's a very well-trained force. These are not clowns.
Yep.
And so you don't want to disrespect them because you might pay the price.
Yep.
So we came in there, kind of talked to the Marines, try to figure out just the patrolling, some couple little encounters, with the Taliban. I think honestly, try to feel us out as well. Interestingly, one of the things that came out of this was they were very attuned to the fact that our special forces, or special operations forces, all had beards. So Taliban is like, hey, if it's got a beard, be careful.
Crazy.
Yeah. So we're Marines. So the Marine special operations guys, they weren't shaving, but we were shaving. Yeah. So I was like, don't piss off. We have like the first sergeant major mafia, who's more like the, mind your P's and Q's folks. And I was like, don't piss them off. Like, it's fine. Shave your face. I know you don't want to. Shave your face, cut your hair, buy us some sympathy and some credibility. And so inadvertently, it kind of camouflages because they're looking at us. It's like, hey, these are, the same kind of Marines. And, Marine's a Marine, but we had 13 snipers. So 13 school-trained snipers in our platoon of 30 versus a, company that had none.
Wild.
And so, yeah, that sort of changed dynamics. But they don't know that. Or, we have a significant seniority. You have gunny team leaders, and so a gunny, with like 12 years in versus a young kid with 2 or 3. It's just gonna be a different dynamic. Yeah. Like Tommy Hartrick, he's my second team leader. Tommy was a Nazaria, Fallujah, Ramadi, Rupa veteran before he goes to his battle.
Holy smokes. Yeah. That experience.
These guys are pros, and he's leading a team of 6 people.
Wild.
Just the combat experience, and he wasn't the only one. It's pretty much the pedigree of most of those, folks. I was on my 3rd combat deployment, and so you're not learning as much as executing what you've learned. It was pretty cool.
How many bad guys are you going up against in that setting?
So that's what's tough, right? Because you don't know. And so this kind of came out of the words we wrote at the end, is that intel's all over the map, because it generated a lot off of what people see or believe. Just like, you get in a firefight, someone says, hey, I just got shot at by a 50 cal. And I'm like, well, that's a very heavy round. Are you sure it wasn't an AK? Because, the first time you shot it, you're like, that must have been a goddamn rocket launcher. Like, no, someone fired a pistol. Was that the first time you heard a pistol? Or whatever. I don't want to be too flippant. So 5 guys turns into 500, it's
Sure.
And I'd also argue, you get in a firefight, you have 200 people shoot at you versus 50 versus 500. Who the hell knows? And so you're kind of going into this in the blind. You're like, you don't know how many it was.
Mm-hmm.
There's reports that they're up to 500, up to 1,000 in this area. Were they all present? Are they all going to show up? You have no idea.
Who knows?
But you always plan for the worst. And you're like, hey, let's say everybody and their mother and brother shows up, and then we got to do this. How we're going to go in here deliberately in order to kind of make that. And it's kind of intimidating too, right? Particularly, you've seen. So Shewan is maybe like 8 kilometers wide. 2, 3 from north to south. What's it? 10% or more of our Navy crosses that the Marine Corps has issued since the Vietnam War came out of Shewan in 2008, inside of 3 months.
That is nuts.
So I want to say that we're at something like a 30-something Navy crosses.
So it's just
3 separate incidents, 3 Navy crosses, June 2008, July 2008, August 2008.
So it's just a major stronghold, hot zone.
Yeah, and you see, so we had Marsoc went in there, got Navy Cross. Gustafson got the Navy Cross, should have been a Medal of Honor, and then my platoon sergeant got a Navy Cross in August. Just brutal.
Wild. So what happened that day you went in?
So there was it's called District Center, which is like the mayor's office, I guess you'd call it. So this is like little hub of the government, and then the province is where they had all the cash that they'd pay the police officers or the army with, and so that they would have these convoys of supplies coming from the district center at Babaluuk to the provincial center in Farah. And it was a paved road, which in Afghanistan, not a lot of paved roads. So this ran right through Shewan. So Shewan was a critical sticking point in what we call a line of communication between these two elements of the government. And every time someone tried to force it through there, it was just trouble. So one thing that I'd learned in Iraq was, I don't know if you ever read anything by Bruce Lee or some of these Eastern philosophers. They always talk about triple setting.
Mm-hmm.
Do something twice, and then act like you're going to do that the third time, and then change your form of attack. And so you're kind of setting somebody up to be surprised. And so idea is hey, every time we've done this, we've gone down the road, and then they come from north to south and then try to do whatever they're going to do, ambush these folks, whatever. So let's make them think we're doing it again. Here come those dumb Americans coming from north to, or, from east to west down the road, pull out old playbook and then execute. But meanwhile, we're going to mix it up because we have now 2 platoons in the area. So the Marines from Gulf 27 are going to come down this road with the Afghan police. And then we're going to hug there's these some sort of orchards. There's a wooded area and there's a river behind Shewan. And so we were going to take our vehicles and kind of trace the populated area to the north. Everybody out of the vehicles minus the driver and the guy in the machine gun. And then the Marines are going to be on foot moving through the woods. So this is a new tactic that they wouldn't have seen. And then we would move in a echelon wedge. And so the idea is that if they come and hit one element, you're already rolling up the side and you're starting to change things up. And then we say this causes a lot of momentum.
Yep.
And so you start to build that momentum, you start to steamroll. And so, whether this is sports or combat, it's all the same stuff. It's human psychology. You start to feel like you're off foot, you're off balance, and you can continue to push and push and push until, you secure whatever objective that you need to do. Whether it's a first down, in our case, something different.
To win.
That's right. Win for America and for the Afghans. So that's what we did. Rolled through, heard a lot of chatter. And I remember, so we're rolling through, kind of bounding through this town. And what I mean by bounding is that you set, get in position so you're ready to fire. and you move another element, they're set. And when I was a young kid, I thought I'd get to Force Recon. They have all these secret techniques, right? These secret advanced techniques. And it turns out they're like NFL football is just like high school football. They just do it better. They do the basics, the fundamentals better than anybody else. They practice, they do it harder, they do it longer, they don't give up. Everybody's at their spot when they need to be, because seconds matter, inches matter.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has to be executed as close to perfection as possible, because once the shit hits the fan, you're going to want to be in a position of advantage that you got as much dialed in as possible, so you can kind of handle those intangibles, and then kind of seize opportunities. You see it.
The fundamentals.
And so that's right. And so it's teamwork, and you start to drill just like football or anything else. And so where your friends are at, you get that intrinsic communication. That's what all the training builds up to. That's why you have the long workups for these kind of advanced elements.
Mm-hmm.
So we're moving through, and I was my baggage. Everyone's got baggage. My baggage. So I was a Cat platoon commander, so vehicles, and I can't tell you how many times I saw a Marine almost get shot in the face by a 50 cal because they run out of a building, and they haven't let anybody know that, hey, I'm moving, and then the gunner sees movement, twirls their gun around, and almost sends a burst down range, or lets a burst go down range and almost hits his kid.
Oh.
Yeah, can you imagine shooting one of your buddies in the face? And so I was real tight. I was like, hey, people in that building moving across, hold, move across, and just really, really, really tight with the discipline. So my platoon sergeant, he's looking at me, hey, we're clear to move. And this is
Lost you for a second, Byron. I think I got you back now.
Yeah, sorry to call.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, so we're just very tight. So hey, if we got shot at right now, how can we best situate? And so we know everybody's out. We're moving. Moving the pieces in together. And this RPG, it's a rocket propelled grenade, goes flying over my shoulder, right in between me and my buddy. And I look, yeah, that look. And I actually went to Iraq with him before, and I was like, yeah, all right, let's go. And so I hit the deck and started looking for who did this. Mm-hmm. And it was 2 RPG gunners. They'd fire 2 RPGs at our vehicles, and then 2 PK machine gunners. It's kind of a medium machine gun. And so the machine gunners are trying to get us to go down so these guys can get their shots off, because they got to stand up or at least take a knee to do it. And I'll never forget this. I'm not making this up. Blonder calls out what we call an ADRAC. No one does it. It's like alert, distance, direction. They teach it to you at the School of Infantry. Mm-hmm. We go 3Ds: distance, description, direction. Hey, there's an enemy guy at 12 o'clock from Byron at 200 yards. You're like, that's all the information I need. There he is, right?
Yep.
He does the whole doctrinal. That's how he was, by the books. And he's still standing, right? So everybody else is taking cover, and he rings the towel, fires a single shot. This guy
smokes him
like 120 yards from the standing, and he looks down at me and he's like, "Hey, sir, we're under fire." And I was like, "Yeah, I got that." It made me look like such a bitch, like I'm doing what I was supposed to do.
Yeah,
I'm not, Captain America and the Avengers. I can just stand here shooting people, under fire, under machine gun fire, all calm and collected. Take 3 seconds to take a shot, hit a guy in the face. That's not me. I know my limitations.
Crazy,
but apparently. That's you, yeah. And so -2, the second guy is like, got his friend's war paint all over his face, and it's just like, yeah, man, I don't know what this guy's got, but I don't want any of it, right?
Yeah,
I don't want any of this smoke. And so he doesn't even fire his second volley because he is just completely shook. And so you could feel the change on the battlefield, because that was not what they expected.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this guy's not even on the ground. He takes a knee, and he's directing movement. And then guess what? That other element rolls these dudes up, ends up, it was like 6-8 guys, and they're completely surprised. Just completely rolls these dudes over, and they're gone. They're done.
Amazing.
And now in Iraq, that would have been it. And we're like, well, that wasn't that bad. I guess we're done here. But you're still going to go through and methodically go through this village, the same way that we planned, tightly executed, as if, there's further contact to happen, which, is what went to happen. So turns out, this was a delaying action. So we had this Taliban leadership in the town, different tribes, different groups who were meeting. Turns out, 20 of them, and they were not prepared for a fight. So they're like, "Hey, we got these clowns coming in from a direction that we didn't know. So we got to do some adjustments. So send out Mohammed or Ahmed, whoever is going to go out there with his squad of dudes, and then delay these clowns. So just engage, slow them down, buy us time to set our ambushes up."
Man,
I mean, it's a pretty good tactic.
Yeah,
pretty good idea.
Yep.
And so it just happened faster than they had anticipated. So we keep moving to the west, and there was a like a berm. So these are like farmer fields and then irrigation canals, all over the place. And so the berm was high enough that we couldn't drive over it. It's because of its height and steepness, because it would we call high center the vehicle.
Yep.
And so it's like, hey, the vehicle's got to leave. The vehicle's got to go south, however many 100 yards, maybe 120 yards to get around this berm, and they're going to get back. Hey, roger that. So, we'll hold in place, you move, because we don't want to go over the berm on foot without the cover of those machine guns, right? So, the Marines are, walking, take a knee, and then I don't know if it was Blonde or Hartrick. They saw a kid moving. So Ahmed's late to the party. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I had the daycare and dropped my kid off. And so he's not in the trench. He's not ready.
Oh my gosh.
The freaking, a minute late and $1 short. And so Hartrick's like, bye, asshole. Freaking smokes that dude.
Crazy.
He goes out. And he's like, he had a throat mic that we told him he wasn't allowed to have, but he would keep using it. And so it would activate off vibration. So every time he talked, it would activate. And so every thought that would come out of his head. He's actually from Montana. I had to hear it. And I was like, I don't want to hear all your dumb thoughts that you verbalize for some reason, because we're doing other things that all 30 of us need to hear about, right?
You would just activate
like
it.
South Park musings. That I'm like, oh, shut up. Like, this is inside thoughts. Because, normally you can key the handset. So if you say something stupid, you just say it to yourself, maybe to your buddy, and then not everybody hears it.
But you're getting all of it.
He made some sort of snarky remark, and then they hit him. And so it was like 50 guys in this ambush. And so he shoots one, shot, and then now he's getting fire from 50 dudes. And I just hear him dropping F-bombs as he hits the ground. And like I said, this guy's a Nasiriyah vet, Fallujah, Ramadi, Rupa. And if he's feeling the stress, you could hear it. You hear the stress in his voice. You're like, this is a situation. Because he's like, hey, I'm assault through. And he's like, I can't, man. He's like, this is heavy. He's just heavy, and I'm exposed. And so we came in, drove the vehicles in. We tried to get what they call a 90-degree offset. And so then you have your downed element. And so I'm 90 degrees off, so that if they assault through, it has the best geometry of attack. And it was a mistake. It was a trap. And so I think looking back, what they'd done is set up conditions for us to bring our vehicles in closer to this tree line, because I'm fixated on these guys who are attacking my friends. Like we all are.
Man. So
now we're, several hundred yards from the contact, but only 50 yards or so from the tree line. Because we got, we got blinders on. We're focused at this. And so where do you think that next attack comes from?
The trees.
Right to our flanks. Oh. Yeah, man, right from that tree line. And so now it's very apparent there's this like 700-meter long kill zone that we're in with hundreds of fighters.
On both sides.
This is not a small engagement. These clowns are everywhere. And they do the same tactic they did on that other group. And so they lobbed multiple RPGs on the vehicle, hit the turret with machine gun fire to kind of get the gunner to go down, called suppression. And the hood of the Humvees are made out of fiberglass. Fiberglass burns hot. Fiberglass is burning hot, catches aluminum on fire. Now your vehicle's on fire. Now you got to get out. Perfect way to defeat armor. So, you're just breaking it down by its components. And so now we're walking into the situation being like, hey, we were doing good, man. We smoke checked that squad. Now things are backsliding, right? I got 2 teams pinned down. I got Marines, calling on the radio being like, hey, man, I could use some support. Now you got vehicles are on fire. Marines are coming out. They're getting shot up. It's just, you're like, whoa. And you're just like, well, this is not expected. This is completely different than what we'd experienced in Iraq. These are completely different tactics, completely different approaches. And then your toolkit, you're reaching into it, right? And you're like, no, I don't need a screwdriver. I need a hammer. What pliers. Like, what am I doing here? And so we went in. I told my drivers, like, let's go. And he's like, why? I was like, just go. And then, we went in, and then they hit our vehicle. And I'll tell you, man, so I got hit by a fuel gas explosive in Iraq in 2006. There's a propane tank attached to a tank round, and when the tank round detonates, it ignites the propane cloud, and so it just completely enveloped in flame. Terrifying. So fortunately, the reflexive pressure of the blast put out the flames almost instantaneously. But I mean, that's something that I'll always remember. And I went from being a non-smoker to a pack-a-day man inside of like a split second.
Holy cow!
Just completely burned the inside of my lungs. And so when the vehicle's on fire, I mean, that's where you go mentally, right? And you're like, nah, not again.
Mm-hmm.
That put me out of the fight for almost a year. And so just all this stuff, the time slows down. And so, you're just kind of stuck, right? And I think that you get to that position where, you just want to give up.
Yep.
You just want to roll over, and this is going to happen, right?
Because your vehicle's on fire at this point, right?
Your vehicle's on fire. Ours was on a fire. For whatever reason, the fiberglass didn't catch. We've absorbed these RPG hits. People are showing up everywhere, and you just don't see a way out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one problem at a time, right? And so it's like, hey, let's get out of the vehicle. Let me get out of my seat. Get on the radio. Give me air support. Let's get some of these ticks off me, right? And so me and my we call it the Gib, the guy in the back, we start fighting off the vehicle, And so you said, you gotta take time in chunks, right? Like I always tell people, it's like you don't have to pass all BRC at once. Just make it to breakfast, man. And then if you make it to breakfast, make it to lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Who quits before lunch? They're serving pizzas, and then you make it to dinner. Just take it little moments in time. You make one little victory, and then don't worry about the entire problem that you have to face. And so, it's funny, man. I don't tell a lot of people this. I guess I'm just about to tell hundreds of people this. Man, maybe thousands. I don't know your viewership.
Just hundreds of thousands of people are about to hear this right now.
Oh, well, some secrets are made to last. So I never fired my weapon in anger. 2 tours in Iraq, search of Baghdad, because that wasn't my job. I was a platoon commander. The Marines around me are supposed to fire their weapons. I'm supposed to lead, direct, call for air support, medevac, whatever it is. This was the first time I fired my weapon in anger. I told people, I was like, if I fire a weapon, it's for my own personal defense. And like, that's what we're at.
Jeez.
Every gun's in this fight because these dudes are trying to maneuver on us. And then I was like, we just got to make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a forward air controller. He's a pilot. He communicates with the aircraft. And I was like, get me birds now. Because we're taking blows, man. We're taking RPG shots, taking the machine gun fire. And I was like, this is a real marginal situation. And I don't know that we have the ability to unstick it ourselves. And so he's like, hey, you talk to him. And I was like, hey, man, I need support. And they're like, we got nothing for you. I'm like, that's not good enough. That's not going to work. I was like, I need air support. And they're like, there's none available. I was like, there's something available. Someone's got air support. So take it away from them and give it to me. And so, right? Screw them and their problems. My problems are the most important, right? And at the time, there was I don't know if I should say it on the radio or on the podcast, but there was a brevity code. You've heard of broken arrow?
Mm-hmm.
There was a corollary. I won't say it in case it's still used, but if you said these words, it meant I need all available air to my position right now. So position untenable, we're about to be overrun, we're going to get wiped out, and you say this word, everything comes to you.
You need it now.
Well, allegedly, anyway.
Yeah.
I need it now. It's doctrinal. And so I told him, I was like, hey, I'm okay right now. And so as these, combatants are coming at us, so as targets go up, targets go down, if you catch my drift.
Yep.
But we're stuck, man. I got 7 mags. And, we're making it count, right? And so we're being good with Uncle Sam's money. But when this runs out, we're out. And they're going to be honest.
Oh.
And so I was like, I think I got like 15 minutes. And then that's it. That's game over for all of us.
Ow.
And so I was like, I really don't want to call this, brevity code. Because I don't know that another Marine has done that recently. And I don't want to be the one associated with it because it sounds like losing, right? Like I need the Air Force's help.
You don't want to be that guy.
Deal with my own problems. It's like, the inner service pride. I was like, but in 10 minutes, I'm gonna be back on this net.
Yeah.
And if it still goes this direction, he's like, I'm gonna have to call this, let's say broken arrow. Though that's not the term.
Yep.
We'll just say broken arrow. And They're like, yeah, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do for you. So I just threw the handset. I'm like, this freaking garbage. And I just go back to fighting. I'm just like pissed off. And I talked to the pilot later. It's called a joint air request. That's like the channel you use to call for air. And it was a colonel, full colonel, Air Force colonel, 4 of them. 2 lieutenant colonels, 2 full birds and 2 lieutenant colonels, doing like their once a month or twice a month, like, fly to maintain your currency. And they're actually in a gunfight in RCE, so the eastern part of Afghanistan. And they're like, hey, you need to make full speed to this position. He's like, I'm on the eastern border of Afghanistan. You're telling me to go to the western border of Afghanistan. That makes no sense. He's like, and I'm in a gunfight. I'm supporting a gunfight. And they're like, yeah, you have they had multiple platforms. You have multiple aircraft supporting this engagement. He's like, I'll be honest with you, Mark Kelly. This guy seemed like he really means it. He seems like he really needs some support. He's a Marine officer. I wouldn't say he was panicked, but it seems like he's close to, let's say a broken arrow situation. And he says he's going to draw you up in like 30 seconds of contact. And he's like, well, that's an exaggeration. That can't be true. And so, because he's like, yeah, I show up, I'll be, 40 seconds to bingo, which means I'll be, 40 seconds away from no fuel. And that'll be his like cutoff point that I got to, go to a tanker.
He's got a turn right there.
Tracking all this, Mark. Do it. And so he's like, fucking Marines, like, all right. And so I'm over here just like, you're like, man, you're just doing what you can. You're just trying to, target up, target down. And you're like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do here. But you don't want anyone to know that. As you're just trying to hold on. We're just like, if I can't advance the ball, at least we're not going to backslide. We're just going to hold what we have. And then just, pray that there's a, Deus Ex Machina, miracle that happens. And then Tufel, he's our forward air control. He's like, hey, we got air. I was like, oh, no shit. I'd written them out of this. And so I get on the net and, he's like, hey, what's going on, man? And I was like, yeah, out for a stroll, having a lovely day, the 30 of my best friends, I'm like, hey, man, you do the check-in, they tell you how many bombs they have and everything. And I was like, let's talk. What do you see up there? And he said, to be honest with you, it looks like a Snickers bar covered with ants. And you're the candy. I was like, 100%, 100%. We're looking at the same picture. It's like we're surrounded on 3 sides. They're trying to get on the back. We'll be completely enveloped. He's like, you got to get out of there. It's like, I got 5 Marines trapped next to a burning vehicle. It's like, I ain't leaving them. He's like, we're all going to die here before we leave those 5 Marines to be captured by the Taliban. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And he's like, all right, where do you want me to strike? And I tell him, and he's just like, that's like 50 yards, man. And I was just like, yeah, so I went to the Naval Academy, right? Now I look like a mouth breather. Like I'm trying to shave in the morning, and I got to wipe the mirror. But I can do math. 50 yards, I got it, right? Half a football field. Let's go.
Sounds good.
He's just like, like, God damn Marines, man. Because he's taking on a lot of risk because he's the one dropping it. And then I was like, well, I'm the one on the ground. So I feel like actually most of the risk is mine to bear. And so I had a VS, this is a bar napkin, but it's called VS-17 panel. It's a bright piece of cloth.
Yep.
And so it's to mark. And so I was like, hey, Tally, VS-17 panel. He's like, yeah, contact. And I was like, that's me, man. So I'm 70 yards away from this bomb. So I know what you're asking. I just need you to do it. And if you're not willing to do it now, I was like, before you leave, like the next drop's going to be on our position because that's all we got, man. Like we're almost dry.
Oh.
And so I talked to him later. He's like,
holy
this
smokes.
is not what I expected.
Yeah.
To deal with today, right?
So
because normally
close.
they stay up higher. It's more linear problems. And so he's just like, all right, man. So he's like, I'm going to come in low and take a look myself. And so he comes in like treetop high, just real low to the ground. And so what he's going to do is he's going to pop and then see the target for himself and then evaluate.
What's he flying?
He showed me what's that?
What kind of bird is he flying?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, man. F-15 Strike Eagles.
Okay.
So we have 2 F-15 Strike Eagles. It's a 2-seater variant. And so you have a weapon systems option in the back that helps you with the actual, weaponeering. And then the pilot in the front who I'm talking to, I don't know if I was talking to him or the rear seater actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw the gun camera footage. Dash 1 goes in, does the pop, and I saw this later, and he's just like, man, this looks like a mosh pit.
Oh,
He's like, Mark, you got to drop now. And so Colonel Kelly's like, hey, all right, wave off, man. And so then, the first plane takes off. None of this is communicated to us. And so he comes in just treetop high and then starts to stagger out and drops, I think, 3 500-pound bombs. He just keyholes them into this trench system and then just,
holy smokes.
just clears this thing out, right? So just trunks and trees and shit and other stuff.
Did it knock you over, the blast?
It did, yeah. So I felt like I got hit with a baseball bat made out of heat.
Oh.
So I hit the deck because I was not expecting it. You're just like, and then was it Irwin? Some Marines is like, the Taliban's bombing us. Like, no. That's friendly. I know it doesn't seem like it because it's like super close. And that's our guys. They're like, holy shit, when do they get airplanes? I was like, no. Pay attention. How many fingers, right?
Oh, man.
And, yeah, so we're just all shocked. We had no plan. Like, we had no, hey, we're going to exploit this somehow. And then this MRAP comes out of nowhere from Golf 27. So this sergeant just, shows up, snapshot in time. He's a former sniper. And he's like, man, these guys are in a bad situation. Sees the bombs drop. He's like, let's go get those wounded Marines. So no one told him to do shit. On his own direction, own initiative, this kid drives his MRAP in there, picks up these wounded, and then hightails out. And then I don't know how we would have done it without him because none of us were in a position to do that.
To carry him out.
Yeah, because my vehicle's destroyed. These guys are on foot. It's just a mess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just a mess. And then so we get out, and he calls me up, and he's like, all right, you leaving? And I was like, nah, man, that's not how this is going to go down. I was like, we're going to redistribute ammunition and we're going to do a counterattack. And he's like, that seems ill-advised. And I was like, man, this whole thing was ill-advised. Ill-advised, that's where I live, right?
This whole day is ill-advised.
Yeah, but we still, I got to walk away with the W, man. Because if we lose this, right, it's going to be 10 times worse tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I found in battle is that there's that moment of consolidation where, hey, I have a victory, but I can snatch it away from you. Like, you're not ready. You're not ready to defend what you have. And it's just going to be a battle of wills over this, because I know that they had more dudes and all this other stuff, and I was like, we're messing them up too, man.
Yep.
They were not expecting us to fight as hard as we are. We got reports afterwards, so they would do this because all the snipers. So they would talk to our platoon. They were like, do you know the guys who do this? One shot to the face from far away, and so they were getting tripped out, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, they have to be. Just got to put yourself in their position. That sigh of relief and I didn't know we had that. It seemed like we had the advantage, but these guys look different. They had a kind of grit that we weren't expecting. Because while we were, pinned down, surrounded, these guys are taking deliberate shots. Just imagine just firing everything you have at an individual who's just,
yeah.
And then one of your friends dies.
Yeah.
Another one, you're like, this isn't the way this is supposed to. You're losing, dude. Act like it, right?
Yep.
Act like a loser. Act like you're being defeated, as you surely are. And so there's that has to be unsettling psychological, I believe. And this is all post event analysis
For sure.
And so we get all the guys together, and I was like, hey man, this is what I think. I think we got to go right back in there. But I think that if we do it and we do it right, we know it's out there now. And we come at them from an unexpected direction. We do something different. I think we can pull this off. But we all got to be on this. If you guys don't think that's the case, then let's say that now, and then we can drive back to the base, and then try this again. And all the Marines were like, "No, man, that's I didn't like how that ended. This isn't over.
We're going in.
This is halftime, right? Those 2 quarters, forget about that. Let's get what we got. We're coming back in because we're gonna." we're going to sing last, as they say in the Navy, because we're going to win.
Those bombs had to mess them up pretty good. The air
right.
support.
And so we had a B-1 bomber check in on station, so you have air support. But you still got to fight out to the ground. It's still the ground campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And so, something I'm so proud of. We had a guy, Phil Demers or Tim Irwin, kids at death's door. And then, my corpsman, there's these kids got heat stroke, man. It's 130 degrees.
Jeez.
It's just boy, and we had no water. So you had whatever you had on you, but you just sucked that down. 2 quarts is gone.
Yeah.
We're like 4 hours into this. And so we're, trying to hydrate these kids, but so the water's in the vehicles, might as well be in another state. You can't get them under fire. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so now these Marines are just suffering. And so I remember me and my platoon sergeant walked up to this kid, and yeah, I say he's a kid, he's a man. And I was like, we got wounded. I need you in this. I know it's a shitty thing to ask you, like, but I need you to do this. And it might kill you. And so, I mean, I just told this kid that I'm going to condemn him to death. It's a horrible thing to say. I mean, I feel like a terrible person for even asking him to do that. But I was like, this is it. Like, so I need 28 guns in this fight. 26, it might not be enough, and who knows what's going to happen to the 26 that go out there. And this kid looks at me and he's like, can I drop my blouse? Like I just told you, this is going to kill you. This is going to be the last thing you do. And all you want to know is if you can fight in a t-shirt. And I was like, yeah, don't tell the first sergeant, but that's fine. So he drops his blouse, puts on his armor, and he looks at his team leader. He's like, I won't slow you down. And I tell that I did a speech to a BRC graduation. And I was like, be the leader that deserves to lead that kind of Marine.
That's amazing. Yeah,
be that person. And if you're not trying to aspire to be more on a daily basis, and then just leave, retire, quit, go away, because that kid is hungry and he deserves more.
So
it's just
amazing.
incredible. It's just humbling.
Yeah, that mindset.
I was like, I don't know I had that kind of stuff. Sorry.
That mindset, that mentality. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm not going to slow you down. I mean, that kid's working on will alone.
Yeah. That's amazing.
His body's quit. His body's done. It's just here. He's just gonna will himself. And he lived. He pushed 2 IVs. That kid survived.
Crazy.
And I think that if you did a medical analysis, it'd be like that kid's episode 2 of The Walking Dead. Right? He died and didn't know it. He just kept on moving. So
that will's amazing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the body's amazing, right? And so the mental physical divide is incredible. So we came up with a plan, and so the idea, I mean, it sounded good at the time. We studied a lot of Russian tactics, and so the Russians had spent a lot of time in Afghanistan, very armor heavy, very mech heavy. And so our plan was, hey, let's take the vehicles and attack the western portion of this trench.
Yep.
And meanwhile, they still got you?
Yep, we're good.
And so we're going to take the vehicles and attack the western portion of this trench. Meanwhile, we're going to have the rest of the platoon, what we call dismounted, so on foot, move we call it using mask. And so behind terrain features, or so they can't be seen, and so like the undulations of the ground, or idea being is maintain surprise, and then they're going to assault the eastern portion of the trench. And so we're going to drop however many bombs in the west, and so we call it a feint. So I'm going to make you think that I'm attacking the west, and so you can see all these vehicles. You're like, hey, all these assholes are in these vehicles. I'm going to pin them down, and I'm going to basically reinforce this point, because this is where they're going to assault.
Decoy.
Meanwhile, what you're doing is uncovering the portion that I'm really going to assault, just to the east. And that gives us the advantage, because our hypothesis at the time is if we get into that trench, that we own it. So we go 2 abreast in that trench, is that there's nothing stopping us. It doesn't matter how many people are lined up, because you can only put up 2 at a time.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
The narrow confines.
Straight down it.
That was the idea anyway. So yeah, we move, and we get, you can hear what they're saying sometimes because of, the assets that we had. And, we move to the west, start taking heavy machine gun and RPG fire, just volleys. And, we're dropping bombs. And you got to think about this, man. And so we drop, I don't even know how many thousands of pounds of ordnance in that trench, right? So you're fighting in a graveyard. Just think about that.
Yeah.
So, we talk about grit. I mean, it takes a special kind of combatant to sit there in the remains of, squad 1, whoever was there before. You know how this could end up. You know that they got air power. I mean, these guys aren't rolling over, right? They're staunchly defending this position.
Insane.
And then when we dropped, they roll right back in. I got to give them credit. I mean, incredibly tough.
That's insane.
Yeah, incredibly tough combatants, and they're dug in too. Really hard to fight. I had a lot of respect for them. So they're good too. I remember. I'll never forget this. So we're pinned down, which is fine. we're essentially a support by fire position. We don't need to maneuver anymore, if that makes sense. So it's fine that, you pinned us down. You've trapped me. I've kind of trapped you in a way. And so we'll just kind of eat this, exchange volleys. But then I started to take a frag on my back, and I look up and there's mortars going off. Right. And so, airburst, which is a complicated technique, and they're coming down. So the idea is like, if I can't kill you with my direct fire weapons, I'm going to use my indirect fire weapons on you. But I've never seen that before. And so I get on the radio and I was like, hey, Steel Rain, get that shit off my back. Add 200. What the hell are you doing? And this kid's like, hey, we're not set up yet, sir. Where do you want us? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, man. That's okay. So that's not you. That's the bad guys. Like, they can do that. You know how to adjust the mortars. And I was like, that's a problem for me. I was like, I need you to go take care of these guys. Come running out with their mortar. And they ended up taking out the enemy mortar systems. But it just goes to explain the level of proficiency that these guys had. Possibly Iranian trained, possibly Iranian, very high.
Yeah.
And, so you're thinking in your mind, you're like, man, this is not going to be an easy fight. Now, this is hour 5 in a 9-hour fight. And remember, we didn't get a resupply. That aviation came in, it dropped bombs, it didn't drop off magazines. And so whatever we've expended, you can see,
so you're
not
low.
visibly, but you're like, hey, I'm running low. Like, we need to make this work before we're completely out. So, guys head towards the east. We dropped a single 500-pound bomb on the trench line in the east. And then these dudes made entry. And then, we heard later, these guys are kind of celebrating, right? Like, look at these assholes. They're pinned down. They're getting chewed up. Vehicles getting hit with RPGs or, whatever they're saying. Dropping bombs. They cannot advance. We've stopped their advance. We've repelled their attack. It's only a matter of time before they give up. And then, hey, they're in the trench. Who's in the trench? I don't know. Americans. No, the Americans are right in front of us. He's like, and so you can imagine now in your psyche, whoa, what's this? This is different. And then it's coming from the east, which is where reinforcements have come from. We don't have any reinforcements. It's us and Golf 27, doing what we can. Golf 27 being the infantry Marines who are with us in the attack. So they've joined us, but we've had no external reinforcement. And so, so these kids from Golf 27 and these Recon Marines, you start clearing this trench system, and then there's further contacts, and just start making our way deliberately through this town until it was done.
Crazy.
And so the thing was is that once we seized the trench, these guys lost their minds. And so you think about there's some movement through the trench line, but those two M4s up front as they rotate through, I mean, that's death.
Yeah.
Like, anybody's in front of that's going down. All they had to do is put one machine gun down, and we'd been done.
Yeah.
But you don't think through these things. And so they they cleared out this trench system, so people started to jump out, kind of like being on fire. You just want to get away from the heat. But there's machine guns outside, so once they're outside the trench, that's not a good situation to be in. And then all the snipers, so all the drivers are snipers, so they're set up.
They're waiting,
and it's a turkey shoot. And then it took several hours. We cleared the town.
Jeez.
And we got the call. Like, they're like, hey man, so we killed the leadership, or wounded. They're like, yeah, the leaders are done. And they started to fragment, right? They had no ability to command and control the troops, because you don't work for me. I'm a Alazai or Nurzai or whatever the hell. And they're like, hey man, this is not going well.
What a day.
And they pulled out.
Man.
Yeah. And so we're down to 2 mags apiece, man. And so we call crew serve weapons. It's like the machine guns, because it's operated by a crew. Dry. Every Dodic's ammo. There's a number associated with ammunition, but we had 1 can of 240. It's a medium machine gun. And so put that thing in the front, but we're completely dry. No more grenades. No more Mark 19. No more 50 cal. Just completely bone dry.
Everyone's down to 1 or 2 mags.
Dry heaving from heat stroke. It's just terrible, man. And me and Blonder, they're like, what do we do? And I was like, we're going to stand up and we're going to walk around for a solid 10 minutes. And we're going to show them this is ours, right? You want to keep going? Let's keep going. But we got to make a statement. And I want them to see it. I want the villagers to see it. I want the people to see it. That these guys brought everything they had, hundreds of fighters, and they couldn't do it, right? And they learned that the strongest walls were made out of brick, they're made out of men, made out of Marines, and Marpat, so our camouflage. And so we did. And then we're like, we should leave because we can't do this again. And they might be, for all I know, doing a counterattack against us because, we're a hollow force right now.
You're out.
And so, so then we took off, man.
Man, what a crazy day. I had no idea.
Yeah, and then it's funny because the Taliban were like, hey, we won. And we got a report. The villagers is like, it took us a week to find and bury all of your dead. So don't tell me you won.
Yeah. No.
Because if you won, you'd have taken your friends with you and you wouldn't have left them in my field for me to bury, which for them is very dishonorable to abandon your dead. I think is for most cultures. So it was sorry, it's kind of a long dialogue, but that's the the Battle of Shewan.
Man. Yeah, the mindset of that day and that kid is phenomenal. Where did you go from there?
Yeah, so that's a trip too, man. This is water. I wish it was beer. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, but it's not 5 o'clock here. I got to go pick up my my kids from school. It'd be an awkward drop off.
Stay on the water for now.
Yeah, I think I get some coffee. So we went back to the fob, and then just like everybody's just talking about it, and they're like, "What was that?" Doing this because there's like 70 or 80 single shot headshots. I had one Marine got a silver star, crawled up on this berm under fire, killed 20 dudes inside of 20 minutes with 21 shots.
Holy
18 headshots, 17 or 18 headshots.
That is
so every time an RPG gunner stood up to take a shot, his head exploded.
Jeez.
I've never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it. Frank Simmons, incredible sniper. And so these dudes are just like, that's not what we expected. That's just not our experience. And so this dude rolls in, some farmer, right? And I really tell a lot of people this. And so we had the Haji Kadadad. Haji Kadadad was our police chief. Mujahideen. He's a Mujahideen fighter. Fought the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, so I got to tell you a secret. Man, what's that, man? He's like, he's not a farmer. I was like, he doesn't look like a farmer. He's got a lot of scars. Like I'm not a farmer, but I don't think there's a lot of scarring that happens from farming.
Yeah.
Not if you're doing it right. I'm like, that guy looks like a fighter, right? And he's like, yeah, he's a Mujahideen with me, but he's a Taliban. His name's Baz Mohammed. I'm like, that's number one HVI in this sector. We've been looking for that guy. That guy's the leader for everybody.
He just rolled in?
He just rolled in, pretending to be a farmer. And so I was like, well, that's going to be great for us when we hit the, cover the Marine Times.
Yeah.
We're rolling this dude up. And then Haji Kadadad's like, I really ask you not to do that. So I offered him my protection. So with Pashtun Wali, my code, it'd be a violation of my honor if he did that. He's here to talk. And so I was like, all right, man, let's talk. And the way he explained it to me was he's like, this guy's not like most Taliban. He's real Taliban. He has a sense of honor. He's got ethics. They're not necessarily our ethics or our code of honor, but like his word is his bond. And so you can negotiate with this dude. And then others who would replace him are not going to be as honorable. And so I was like, well, you know the area, the people. I've been here like a week, It's been an eventful week. But, I've only been in Afghanistan for a week. I'll take your word for it. And so, I walk in, and then I don't know if you've dealt with like Afghanis. Iraqis are kind of similar. Takes a while to get to the point. Kind of like me. Just, how's the weather? Like you're just pretending that yesterday we have this like 9-hour battle.
Still up to small talk.
So it was 130 degrees yesterday. It's 115 today. So that's fantastic, right? And so I was like, anyway, that's been fun. Are you on top of the battle? And he's like, what battle? And I was like, yeah, the one yesterday. And it's funny because he's like, are you Baz Khan? And I was like, I am. And so, Byron's kind of a uncommon name.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned I had a price on my head in Iraq. And so I learned that, like, I'm not going to say my name. And so I was Bazam in Iraq. And then I became Baz Khan, Baz is an eagle in Pashtun. And Khan is an honorific. And so that just was my name. And the Afghans liked it. The people liked it. It was just easier for them to remember than, Byron Owen. And that's good PERSEC.
Yeah.
Personal security to not use my own name. He's like, you're Baz Khan? I mean, it's obviously, it's not in English. It's in Pashtun. So through a translator. I was like, yeah, that's right. he goes, I was like, yeah, that's right.
Crazy.
And he's just like, well, I'm a farmer and I know nothing of fighting. I was like, yeah, keep going. And he says, he's like, your men are very brave, the bravest I've ever seen. And I was like, why is that? And he's just like, you have so much, what is the word that he'd use? You know, like bravado, like machismo almost. That even though you have airplanes, you said, leave them away. We're going to fight on foot like men. And I was like, yeah, that's why we did it. There's no other possible reason that we would fight without air support. That is clearly, it was the bravery. It was the bravado. We just wanted to prove ourselves to you, maybe test ourselves.
Man.
But it resonated with him. He's like, you know, you guys came in, there's no air support. We were able to get all the women and children out of the village. They're off and safe. And so now when we engage, you know, it's man to man. He's like, you know, it's one of the reasons we didn't use any IEDs because we respected that, which I appreciated because, you know, the dismount IEDs is terrible.
Yeah.
And he's like, and you guys did a trench assault and you're fighting, you know, mano a mano in the trenches. You know, you'd use some aircraft, but not very many. And he's just like, this is, you know, this is not what we're used to here. You know, we're just used to Americans coming in, just blowing everything up, killing our families. They don't understand this kind of fighting that you do. Wow. Not that I'm a fighter, you know, I'm a farmer, you know, lover, not a fighter. Wow. And so I was like, yeah, man. So what do you want? And he's just like, so why are you here? I'm like, that's a great question that I don't have time to fully get into. But I don't know if you realize this, but every time we try to go through your town to get to the district center or to the provincial center, like 500 assholes show up and try to kill us. That's a problem. I mean, we weren't looking for a fight. We're just looking to get to the freaking town over there, to Farah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, huh. Yeah, I could see that problem. I'm like, yeah. We did this like 3 times, 3 Navy crosses, huge battles that are going to be on the, you know, the next version of the Pacific or Band of Brothers. And he's like, so what do you want? I was like, to drive our vehicles through this town without getting into a 9-hour, you know, blowout fight. All that destruction. He's just like, we just want to promote stability, security, you know, and then provide the foundations of some sort of local economy, you know, prosperity. Like these are not bad things. And so he's like, so you're not here to steal our women. And I was like, no, who's been talking to you? Right? Like, no.
Steal your women.
Stealing the women, not on the table, right? Like that's not on the option tree, you know? And he's like, oh, are you here to burn my poppy? And I was like, also not the DEA. Yeah. Right? That does run counter to some American objectives, but that's not my job. I just stick to my job jar. That's outside of it. So he's like, huh. Well, that's not bad. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, can you dig me a well? I was like, yeah, I could dig a well. He's like, because, you know, the guy down the street, he's got a well. He lords it over me every day. And like, oh, did you have to go to the market to get water? I went to my well. And it's like, it really burns my ass, you know, because I want my own well. Like that's you know, you haven't made it until you have your own well. And I told him, I was like, then we need some security. I was like, I got to be able to walk through there. You think I'm going to bring USAID and, you know, the Peace Corps in here to dig a well when there's these 9-hour fights? Also, the Peace Corps might look like me.
Yeah.
You know, sans uniform, because there's no way they're coming in here. But, you know, it's like, if you give me a month of peace, it's like, I'll get you a well. And so I put out I had a paper that we wrote, BOSCON's rules, you know, it's like no murder, no rape, you know, just basic stuff. I was like, you know, these things have to be instituted in the town.
For a month.
No theft. And he's like, what about tax on the ring road? And I was like, okay, fine. Going rate, like the Taliban would come out there, stop your vehicle and charge you like a toll. I was like, 10%. He's like, buddy, 20%. I was like, no. 12%, nobody dies, right? It's like, that's it. You can't, you know, take your chickens and pigs. You gotta, you know, can't be too much.
That is insane. And
so he said, it's wild. And he's like, well, there's a problem. I was like, what's the problem? He's like, I got to be armed. We got to hire fighters. And I was like, yeah, that's problematic. But I have a solution for you. I was like, if you utilize, is it a red sash? Some sort of red sash, and you tie, you know, bandana, something, and you wear red, I'll know you're my friend. Red for America. Red, white, and blue. And he's like, if I do that, then the Taliban know I'm your friend. I'm like, hey man, you got to pick a side, right? You gotta figure something out. So he walks out. He's like, I got a lot to think about with my other farmer friends. And then Blonder's like, sir, we just let number one HVI in this freaking district out the door.
Just
like,
walk out.
I thought you went to college to like learn stuff, not do dumb stuff like this, right? And I was like, yeah, this is probably a mistake, but you know, let's let it play out. And so we go, let's go back to the town. And so we roll in, and there's just hundreds of Taliban. You know, in the back of like Ford Rangers or Toyota Hiluxes or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, this is gonna be bad. So it's like, hey, cigar shaped defense, face outboard, you know, start picking out targets. And so, you know, what I say by that is like, you know, I'm gonna shoot over this guy, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Start get ready for a fight, but hold your fire. Because I was like, if they don't have hostile act, hostile intent, just existing is not enough to kill them. You gotta have some other conditions set. But it's tough, right? These guys have got RPGs, you know, they got the like Pancho Villa style, you know, ammo draped across them. And then it's just kind of a standstill. And so I'm, you know, staring at them. They're staring at us.
Back in town.
Yeah, back and forth, man. So it's a kind of standoff. You can't say what it is because it's probably racist now. But, you know, Southwestern standoff. Let's say that. And this fat dude, big guy, probably can't say that anymore either. I'm going to get myself canceled. He comes out of the vehicle, and then I notice all these dudes look like Axl Rose, man. Red bandanas everywhere.
No way.
And he comes, he's like this. And so I end up hugging this fat, sweaty dude, and I'm just like, what is going on right now? And he's just like, I'm Farid. I'm like, yeah. It's nice to meet you, Farid. And he's like, you know, I'm Baz Mohammed's son. And he says that we're going to work with you. And so I shouldn't tell you this because it's embarrassing. And so he's like this. And so I hold this fat, sweaty dude's hand, and then we go strolling through Shewan. We're just walking, you know, and it's like kids are out playing, you know, and I was like, what is going on?
Trippy.
And yeah. And he's like, what is this you call it? I'm like, it's called a patrol. And he's like, how long do you patrol? And he's, you know, he's kind of a corpulent guy. I was like, I don't know, 20 minutes an hour. He's like, that's a long patrol. He's like, can we cut it down? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. And so then they leave, and I was like, now they're going to fight us. And then no. And so then there'd be these reports were like, hey, we're going to attack the Americans. And this guy, we could hear some of the stuff they're doing.
Chatter.
And I'm like, no, they're our friends. He's like, I know you're my cousin, but if you fight him, I got to kill you. That's just how it is, man. Like,
holy.
I'm going to see you at the picnic on Sunday. Like, yeah, I'll see you. So, you know, hope you survive.
Crazy world. Crazy world.
It was a trip. And just like this guy was right. They had an honor code. They stuck by it, you know? And so there was nothing. Like no shots fired in anger for about, we left. We went to a different district, you know, Nowzad is another problem area.
Mm-hmm.
But the Marines were telling us, he's like, this, you know, Farid would be out there with us, you know, walking, you know, they'd, you know, say hi to Boss Khan for me. And then we were driving because we had nothing, man. Like we were living like savages. No hardened structures, like cots and cami netting. And it's 130 degrees, you know, by 8 o'clock. Like that's not great, you know?
Yeah.
And so we had no laundry facilities. Like you got a hole that you use, you know, for your, let's say for your hygiene,
mm-hmm.
you know, bottle of water. But they had a Marine Special Operations company in Farah. They had a chow hall, you know, we're eating MREs. They had showers, you know, they're living high on the hog. And so any excuse we had, like, oh, let's escort the convoy over there. That sounds great, right? Then we'd like descend unwashed savages, and they'd be like, oh man, just go use the laundry. And they're just like, can we get some got steaks in here? You know, it's
crazy.
Like, descend. Yeah. And so we're on the way back, and we see this dude. He's in the road, right? But his head is not. So body, no head. And so we're like, well, I guess that's how you declare that the truce is over in Afghanistan.
Jeez, that's how you figured it out.
You know, email would have been fine.
God,
you know, a headless messenger, Ichabod Crane over there.
Did you ever have to build the well?
Yeah, we built the well, man. You got to get in the well. You got to deliver on the well. We paid for someone to do it. We contracted out. I mean, I'm not digging the well.
Yeah,
that guy. But yeah. So then Farid's at the base, right? And I'm like, Farid, again, 20-minute conversation. How's the weather? How's the wife and kids? You know, we're doing this. You know, just like. Freed. He's like, yeah, boss. And I was like, headless body. He's like, oh, yeah. There's a headless body on the road. And he said a foreign fighter came from Syria to fight you, and he was going to set off an IED on your patrol, and we'd already declared you're off limits. And so to set a message, we cut his head off and left his body in the road. And I was like, that is not what I thought was going to happen.
Jeez.
And he's got a bag, and I was like, I'm good on what's in the bag. He's like, do you want to see it? And I'm like, no, man, I'm totally fine on the. I'm like, wow. And he's like, yeah, no. He's like, when we give our word that you're our allies, like that's meaningful, right? Like you're under our protection.
Wow.
Like, we're under yours, and now we're partners. It just tripped me out.
Yeah,
and
that stuff's wild.
Yeah, I mean, these are guys that we fought against. I mean, just like bitter fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Close quarters, brutal fighting, and then now are I wouldn't say best of friends, but working hand in hand.
Yeah,
It's just nuts.
That's mind blowing. All from that one meeting after that fight.
Well, he's like, you could tell he's like, I know who you are based on what you did. And you're a person of integrity, and then you got some stuff. All of you do.
Yeah.
And it was a trip, man.
Dang.
But
so then,
yeah.
Where'd your military career go to get to you where you're at now?
Yeah, so like I said, that was like week one. And so over the course of that, like 9 months, 10 months that we were out there, we would go district to district and just, do what needed to be done. Similar situations, similar stories across, we don't have time for on this podcast. Got back, I got wounded again. And then, my wife's like, Byron, you're like 3 for 3, 3 deployments, 3 Purple Hearts. Like, you're not good at infantry. You got to do something else, right? Like dip, dive, duck, dodge, do something, right? Just don't stand there. And so I was like, it's a valid point, And so I left the infantry, went to intelligence, military intelligence, she reminded me, we've already established that you're not intelligent, but give it a shot, see what happens. Maybe they're, really short on people. They could
learn something.
Yeah, learn something. And then I ended up right back at Recon. And so even though I changed my specialty, we had a parachute fatality out of 1st Recon Battalion. And so they're like, hey, give me a guy who knows what he's doing. The major. And so I was the OPSO at 1st Recon Battalion. And then I got to be the CO of 1st Force Recon Company. So where it started, I had to be the commanding officer of that company, which is really, really cool for me. Really awesome.
That's amazing.
Just I couldn't be more honored to be the commander there.
Yeah.
And I went to the Naval War College after I got done there. And I told my wife, I was like, I want to do something different, just something completely different. And so I took orders to Mar4 Cyber because, cyber is, it's a new frontier.
Yeah.
Better opportunities for getting out. There's a lot of reasons, why I was interested in, learning more about cyber. I ended up commanding an offensive cyber team there. And so did a lot of really cool things with them. And it's to me, it's really fascinating because what I found at Marine Forces Cyber, Mar4 Cyber, was that warfare is warfare and leadership is leadership. And so a lot of these folks I was dealing with, like my peers, they're like, well, this is how we do it in cyber. And I was like, no, this is just how you do it. Right. And what you're saying doesn't match up. Like you're trying to lead through a computer screen, through an email. That's not how you do it. Get your ass out of your chair, go walk the line. And I don't care if it's a cubicle farm. It's like, go talk to those Marines face to face. That's what they deserve. They deserve a face to face conversation. And then you find out it's all the same stuff. Like I didn't get to go to my, we call PME. It's like education. So I didn't qualify for sergeant. I'm like, that's bullshit. Send them to school.
Yeah.
We had she was an awesome Marine, Dornellis Nader. She couldn't get to go to her whatever school she needed to go to sergeant because she's so critical in this like hacking community that they couldn't replace her. And I'm like, well, she's gonna leave because she's getting abused right here. You're abusing this Marine because you're saying that she has to be there so she can go to this 2-week course where she can get a promotion, get more money. Like, come on, that's a poisonous organization. And in the infantry, any one of us can get shot and someone's gonna replace them. So I'm just going to send her to school with doing no analysis, and I'm just going to assume you're going to figure it out because Marines don't fail missions. And guess what? Figured it out. They were able to, substitute, do whatever. And I was like, you got to change the culture here because this has to be a warrior society, just like Force Recon was.
Everywhere.
Because these Marines are fighting. Even if in cyberspace, you have that same mentality, that same hunter ethos that I have a target. I'm going to track it down. I'm going to execute something on that objective, whether it's, take a shot or I'm going to, inject some code or do whatever it is. The mentality has to be the same.
You're not going to quit.
Because warfare is warfare.
Yeah.
And warfare is about people and not computers. So that was a lot of fun. I did that for 3 or 4 years, and then actually got command of 3rd Radio Battalion in Hawaii, which is a signals intelligence. It's related to cyber electronic warfare battalion. That was really cool. I don't know if I got my 3rd radio stuff up here. It's in the corner. You can't see it.
No problem.
But yeah, it was awesome. Really, really fortunate to be able to do that. That's 20 years, man.
Man.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
That's 20 years of stuff in a 53-minute conversation.
Quite the career. That's insane.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, I've just been really lucky to work with some, some great young people, right? Because we tend to, I think, focus on officers and commanders, generals, colonels. But something I learned, in those 21 years is at the end of the day, the victory or defeat that comes through battle is going to be borne on the shoulders of a young corporal or sergeant. And so we call non-commissioned officers, our youngest level of leader is what's going to be the determining factor in a war, whether it's in Shewan, whether it's in the Revolutionary War, whether it's in cyberspace. It all comes back to the lowest level of employee that we have, which is our NCOs, which is where I think that our investment should be, our focus, our attention, and solicit the opinions and voices of those people. And that's how I'm convinced. I mean, I've never been out of the military since I was 18. That benefits any organization.
Yep.
Is heavy investment in your lowest rung of your ladder, and you're going to get incredible dividends back, and then be successful.
How are those folks doing these days, like mindset wise, in late 2023? Like, how are the younger guys in the military doing?
It's a different time, man. God, now all the you're gonna get the boomer jokes in the comments. I'm losing AirPods here. Do you still have me?
I got you. Yep.
It's different, right? I think that this generation, they're not doing as many sports. I hate to typecast the generation. The experiences are different. There's more virtual stuff out there that I didn't have when I was a kid. I was out as a kid. It was go outside, drink from the hose, be back at night or not, whatever. Figure it out. And you see that in boot camp. More lower leg injuries just because there's less activity. So your bones aren't as strong, more prone to athletic injuries.
Yep.
But the Marine or service member of any kind, I think once they get through those hurdles, they get through the boot camp, they get through the School of Infantry, it's the same kind of Marine. It's just that we have a smaller pool of individuals who have those qualities that we're looking for in order to do what we need them to do. Because it's a very physical job, particularly the Marine Corps. You got to carry a lot of weight on your back. Your grit can overcome a lot of physical limitations, but it can't overcome all of them. You need a certain level of baseline of physical fitness and toughness.
Yep.
You still got to move the weight. The weight's the weight, 80-pound ruck's an 80-pound ruck. You can't just heart that over your head. You got to have some strength.
Yep. You have to have a baseline.
Yeah.
How are you?
But
how are you passing down everything you've been through, everything you've learned, mindset stuff, grit stuff? How have you found good ways to pass it down to your kids?
Yeah, with my kids, certainly. You try to do it, in the military as you can. I started a website, Key Train Cyber, and trying to pass lessons. I got a crew of people from various walks of life in the military and some civilian. So I think we're at a inflection point in the military now, where we're preparing for a conflict, with a peer or near peer adversary that we're not necessarily going to participate in, because we're going to age out. So my generation is possibly going to age out of the military, and we're going to have a young generation who's going to have to learn these lessons the hard way. And it's going to be a different battlefield. A lot of things are going to be different, but there are a lot of things that I learned in Afghanistan that were the same lessons, that Dick Winters learned, Band of Brothers in World War II, that, George Washington and, his, merry band of, revolutionaries learned in the Revolutionary War. That's the same, because combat's combat.
Yep.
The weapons change, but, warfare still remains the same in many ways. And so trying to create, mentorship platforms where we can relay these lessons and kind of let these young folks who are much more digitally connected translate that into their current environment, but maybe think about things in a different way based on our experiences, learn through our stories. And so I kind of do that through the website.
That's awesome.
With a lot of professional development, solicit writing, and then connect them with mentors. It's been a lot of fun.
What's that website again?
Yeah, Key Terrain Cyber.
Key Terrain.
www.keyterraincyber.com. And so it's free.
That's amazing.
It's not business because it makes no money.
Yeah.
And my wife reminds me of that all the time. But it's at some point, man, I'm gonna get out, right? And so I have more time behind me than ahead of me. And so right now, my job provides me with a sense of purpose, like an altruism that is very central to me, and then also provides my family. I see a world that when I get out, I might not find one thing that does both. Maybe I'd love to. So I told my wife, it's like I have to have something that provides that sense of purpose, or I'm gonna be lost.
Yep.
I have that connection to the mill. I mean, you look at this wall, man, and it goes down the room here. I spent so much of my time in uniform. This is tattooed to my soul. And so if I stay connected by helping these young people out, which is the best aspect of being in the military, is helping out the young NCOs. That's going to fill me with purpose. And then whatever I do for work, is whatever I do for work.
That's phenomenal.
So that's kind of it's been kind of cool. It's been kind of fun.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
And then kids have the same questions, and the same fears that we did when we were young. And it's nice to talk to somebody with no repercussions, right? Like, hey, man, I'm really thinking about doing this or that. What do you think? I was like, you know what? I had a young kid. He's like, think about going into the intel community. I was like, I know a person who's at that agency who can give you the best advice on what to do and what's the pathway to get you where you need to be. They hooked him, and the guy's got a job there now.
Dang.
Full-on employee, and it's been cool. A young sergeant wrote an article about the Israeli-Hamas conflict before it happened. And he's like, this is how they might use the internet to attack, Israel. Young sergeant, right? And so you give him a voice, you give him a platform, and then that's just been really fulfilling, really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll make sure to include that in the show notes. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Byron, thank you so much. That's an amazing full life you've lived so far, and I know you got more to do. It's amazing what you've done and been through, and the mindset and grit that took to get you to this point now is humbling. It's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully that's what you're looking for. I think we covered a lot of the stuff that I think is central to Mountain Tough. There's a lot of connections between the military, what we do, and then what you're fostering and promoting with Mountain Tough.
Yeah,
I really appreciate you all having me on the podcast. It's really fun. This is actually one of my first podcasts.
You crushed it.
I appreciate that.
It was awesome. Thanks for listening, everyone. That was an insane conversation from Byron. Before we close out, wanted to take a second and share a What's Your Mountain story with you guys. We have some powerful ones pouring in to the Mountain Tough community right now. That Byron conversation was phenomenal. It really shows you what people can do mentally and how strong the human brain and the will and the willpower actually is. What really stood out to me was how he talked about going up to that younger Marine with heat stroke. The guy had heat stroke. He couldn't move. Byron was like, you're gonna fight or you're gonna die. And that kid's like, well, let me drop a layer. I'm too hot. Dropped a layer, got up and started fighting again. I mean, the willpower of the human body is crazy when we tap into that mindset. And what a great conversation from Byron. Now, today's What's Your Mountain story is from James Kaiser. I'm just going to read this to you guys. This is a really inspirational story of his conversation around diving into the Mountain Tough app. And he specifically dove into the mental toughness side of the app. So he's talking about our mindset curriculum, but this is what it says. Hello, my name is James Kaiser. I'm from Elizabeth, Tennessee. Just wanted to write this email to say thank you for all that you provide from your app. I'm an electrical contractor in my area, and I have faced many obstacles. Over the last 15 years, I've literally lost everything I had and built it back. In 2010, I went through an ugly divorce, literally lost my home, my job in the same day. 2011, I met my current wife. After we got married, she started nursing school, so we dropped to one income to allow her to complete school, which she did. While all this was going on, I was also completing my apprenticeship for an electrical journeyman, which I did. Okay, fast forward to 2015 when we lost my sister unexpectedly to a massive heart attack. In 2018, we decided to become foster parents due to the fact we weren't able to have children and took in a sibling group of 3 girls. We were told these would be our kids. However, due to unforeseen circumstances, they were taken from us. In 2019, we adopted 2 boys and a little girl through the foster care system. In the middle of all of this, I also managed to start a successful business. While I'm starting the physical workouts in Mountain Tough Plus, I've already gained so much from the mental side of the app. There's not a lot of programs to help men out there, and I'm glad that you guys are trying to fill that gap. I've really enjoyed all the insight that has been offered. I'm working every day to try and improve my mental toughness. Sincerely, James Kaiser. Thanks, James. Thanks for sharing that story. That is truly inspirational. It definitely reminds me of how you just have to fail forward and you can't fail if you never quit. And that story is just a great example of that. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for listening today, Mountain Tough. We love you guys, and we'll see you for the next episode.